Giusto di essere ma BBC BBC
Drew, what are you eating? Are you having something from here? Are you eating?
To match you a little size.
Esther. Where's she going?
I'm going